All right. 1, 2. 1, 2. I better check that this is actually working before I start this. Stay in the tripod, please. Thank you. All right. Nothing seems to be going my way at the moment, like at all. As many of you may know, I was banned from TikTok live this week. In other news, my microphone is battered and bruised. It has fallen off this microphone stand, this broken microphone stand so many times. You can see where I have tried to repair the damage by filling in the marks with Sharpie. Kind of backfired. But please, let's just ignore that. I've already had enough abuse about this microphone. She's deleted it now, so I can't show you, but a girl commented on my TikTok video this week saying, "What is the point in lip syncing with that big dirty microphone?" I can't be all setting my regular backdrop up. I'm just not having a good week. So I'm going to go and get a coffee refill, and then I will be back in 5 minutes to tell you the story that we are actually here to tell today. Got my coffee. Haha, very relevant. And here's the Fox mug that Simon, one of you guys, got me last year. It is now covered in lipstick. Settle in, get yourself a drink and a snack, and let me tell you about I was going to say horrific trip to New York. It wasn't horrific, but the chaotic trip that I had to New York when I was about 15, 16. So when I was in college, I was on a psychology course. I didn't really want to do psychology, but I think my other subjects were like art, graphic. No, it was like, they were all creative ones. It was like art, English. Oh, I did start out with biology. Right, okay, no, that was it. I had all creative subjects and biology, but I was really shit at the biology, so then I switched over to psychology, so I still had something academic. And the psychology course was really interesting, but I was really, really bad at it. And in about 2015, they organised this class trip to New York, and it was like a once-in-a-lifetime thing. It was £1,000-ish to go. It was around a week, and it involved going and seeing all the big famous landmarks like the Empire State Building, the statue of, I could never say this, Liberty, is it Liberty? Liberty, I think. And of course, Ground Zero, which is the aftermath of 9/11. I assume that that's kind of where the psychology aspect fitted in. I've still never really got to the bottom of how this trip was beneficial to the class, because we literally did nothing to do with psychology while we were there. But still, it's New York. It's a once-in-a-lifetime trip, so of course I wanted to go. My mum got together the money and I was going to New York. I'm going to get a little bit more comfortable. I'm in such an awkward position here. So I believe we went from Manchester Airport. Don't really remember the flight there. It was very long, but okay. And UK airports are pretty chill. I mean, compared to other places, they're pretty chill. Compared to New York, they are chill. We obviously have all the right security checks and stuff. But when we got to New York, we got off the plane and we got to New York, I just remember being absolutely flabbergasted at the intense security that they have there. And it's not really a surprise, is it? Obviously, after what happened, they are going to have extreme security measures. But it was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I might be remembering it a little bit wrong because it was a long time ago. It was like 2015, so nearly 10 years ago. But I seem to recall them making you stand in this big cylindrical tube, and it basically did a sort of x-ray of your entire body, and you proper felt like an alien in a test tube or something. I don't know why I'm telling you all this stuff about the airport. It's really not that interesting. But anyway, we left the airport and we all got on a big bus which was going to take us into the city. And we were all looking out the windows, like there's amazing views and stuff. But as we get into sort of like the vicinity of the city, from, I don't know, what felt like miles and miles and miles and miles, it was just graveyard, a huge mass graveyard. And I've Googled this since and I can't find the name of it. Apparently there is multiple New York graveyards, but this one was huge. I did have a video of it, but I can't find it now. I'll have to have a look and see if I can put it up here. I remember just thinking that was really bizarre that as tourists are coming into the city, the first thing they see is miles and miles of graves. If any of you guys have any idea what I'm talking about, if you could leave a comment just telling me what that graveyard is called, I would really appreciate that. After our journey through the afterlife, we finally get to our hotel, if you can even call it a hotel. It was minging. It was so bad. But what did we expect for £1,000 1-week trip in New York? It was so horrible. I genuinely can't even... God, my memory is so shit. I'm trying to tell this story, but I can't even remember all of the details, any of the details. We get to our motel. We walk in. Don't know what the area was called. I just know it was kind of near a big Urban Outfitters and a subway station. And you could tell immediately that this was the rough part of town. I hadn't really had chance to feel the air around me on my journey from the airport to the bus because we literally just got onto it straight away. So this was the first time I'd been out in the open in New York and taken in the city. And I'm being totally honest, they glam it up for television and the media so much. For me, it was nothing like what I'd seen on TV. It was beautiful, don't get me wrong. They have some stunning buildings, but there was litter everywhere and it just felt like a very hot and humid Manchester. Obviously, when you see New York on television programmes, it's all colour graded and everything looks really bright and vibrant, but in reality, it's very grey and beige. There's also a huge homelessness problem. I'm sure many of you guys know this already, but it was so much worse than I had even expected. I will tell you a bit more about that in a minute. So we walk into our hotel. It's really minging. It's all brown and there's stains all over the carpet and stuff. And they put me and my friends on the ground floor room, which is terrifying because with the lack of security this hotel had, anybody could have just walked in. So once we're in the hotel, they assign us to our designated rooms. And luckily, I'm in a room with my friends, so it's not too big of a deal. But there was 4 of us in the room and 2 beds. So I got to share with one of my very close friends, but oh my God, can you imagine if you didn't really know anybody who was on that trip and then you got put in a room with like people you didn't know and you had to share a bed with one of them? Absolutely not. There was also a big fuck off random fridge in the room. It was just like 2 beds and a fridge. So we threw our suitcases in our room and headed out into New York. We weren't asked about unpacking. We were just so excited to go and explore the city. First stop, McDonald's, of course. And holy fuck, this is not a criticism, this is a good thing. Holy fuck, the portion sizes. It was like dream. It was like a dream come true for me. I'm a big foodie. So we walk into this McDonald's. The small meal there is like the size of a UK large. All the drinks like this big. I vividly remember I came back from this holiday over a stone heavier than I had been when I left. And my lovely mother, who I love but has zero filter, greeted me at the airport when I got back like,
fucking hell, we need to get you on a diet.
I enjoyed it though. It was the best binge that I've ever had in my entire life. Now here is where I would like to stress that we were all 15 and 16 on this trip. And the few teachers that we had gone on this trip with, grown adults, were allowing us to walk around New York City on our own. Granted, it was usually in groups of 4 or 5, but they weren't regulating it. If you thought I was stupid before, wait until you hear what I'm about to tell you. So on one of the nights that we were there, I was lying in bed at like 10 o'clock at night and I decided that I was pretty hungry. So I get up from my room on my own, walk outside this hotel in the roughest part of the city, and I just take myself off to the 7-Eleven down the road at 16 years of age. So I'm in this 7-Eleven. They have so many cool things in American sort of corner shops that they don't have in the UK. They have these massive machines. I guess we do kind of have something similar in the UK now with Tango Ice Blast, but they've got these big machines called Slurpees and you can just walk into your local shop and just get loads of different flavours of frozen drink. So I think I was getting one of them and out of nowhere, this 7'8" woman comes out of nowhere and she goes, "Hey, honey." I should have done what any other normal person would have done and just ignored and carried on with my shopping or left. But I have always been cursed with being too polite. And if that sounds up my own ass, I'm up my own ass. But I am too polite and I entertain and engage people that I really shouldn't every day of my life. It's probably very apparent from my TikTok videos and my busking content that I do. So she's just talking my ear off, essentially following me around this shop, and I'm engaging with her, trying to be nice, just hold a conversation. But she's clearly mental. She's telling me every single detail of her personal life, as most mental people do. And I'm going, And then she goes, sorry, I'm off my hormones today. I go, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. And she proceeds to follow me to the till, stand about this close to me while I'm paying for my fucking Slurpee. And then by the time it's her turn to pay, she doesn't have enough money for her items. And look, these days I would have offered to pay, but I was 15. Why do I keep saying 15? I was 16 at the time. I was not in any position to be paying for this girl's shopping, so I just legged it. It probably doesn't sound like a very scary situation with me recalling it on here. Like I said, this happened 10 years ago, so I've probably missed out a few details. But I just remember at the time it being quite frightening, and I ran back to the hotel in the dark, didn't go out on my own again after that, because luckily nothing bad happened. But can you imagine if it had? Can you imagine if I'd gone out on my own in like one of the biggest cities in the world and disappeared, and someone had harvested my organs or something, and then I was never heard from again, and nobody would have known where I'd gone? I look back on that now and think, what an actual idiot. I had my first boyfriend at the time of going on this trip, so I was so uninterested and non-observant of everything going on around me. I was only bothered about texting this boy the entire trip, which turned out not to be even worth it anyway, because we broke up at a party 2 months later. I say broke up, he dumped me at a house party 2 months later, and is now probably terrified of me because when I was drunk years and years and years ago, I sent him like 10 friend requests on different things. I promise you I am relatively normal. If you're watching this, I'm not a stalker. I'm really sorry. Anyway, moving on. I'm trying to think of more shocking things that happened. Oh, okay. So the homelessness problem. I feel like I'm making New York sound like a really bad experience. It wasn't a bad experience. I had a really good time. It's just the things that I had a good time doing aren't very descriptive. Like, oh yeah, I went up the Empire State Building and there was a really nice view. I'm trying to think of funny anecdotes here. All right, this one isn't that funny, but it's interesting. So you know the subway system in New York, which are like the underground trains? We have a similar thing in big cities in the UK. So there's a subway system in Liverpool. I believe there's quite a big one in London as well. But I have personally never seen one quite as hectic as the New York one. We had to take these subway trains throughout the week just to get to all the different landmarks and stuff. And they were always really, really, really packed. It was very stressful trying to get through the barriers with your ticket because the system was so different to what we have in the UK. We couldn't really work out how to do it in good time, and everyone was getting really mad at us. When we eventually did make it onto the train, this guy comes walking down the carriage, and to be fair, he looked like a nice guy. He didn't look like a crackhead or anything. He looked respectable, and he walks up to us and gives this big, very believable story about how he's a single dad and he's got to raise 2 daughters by himself and he needs money to pay the bill, blah, 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 blah. It was quite believable the way he worded it, not like the ones in the UK who come up and go, "Can I have a tenner for Lecky?" We all reach into our little purses and wallets and hand this guy a couple of dollars each. He goes, "Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. God bless, God bless." And, you know, we're feeling dead good about ourselves. 2 minutes later, another respectable looking man comes along and gives the exact same story. And we're like, oh, okay, that's weird. All right, a couple of dollars, yeah, go on. 2 minutes later, a third man comes along with the exact same story. So at this point, we realise that we have been royally scammed. This seems to be more of like a organised begging system than it is in the UK. It definitely happens in the UK, where people who do beg will essentially do shifts on different spots in the street, but I've never seen it quite this way on trains before, like a rotation of people coming down the trains with the same story. I think in the UK that would probably get shut down straight away because the trains are quite heavily staffed. You've got conductors and people coming down the aisles all the time. Also, the aisles on the trains in the UK are pretty narrow. I noticed that on the subway trains in America, they're pretty wide trains. In the UK, you've kind of only got room for like one person to walk down the carriage at a time. And don't get me wrong, this is not me being all like, oh, the UK is so much better than America. There are many things in America, like the buildings in New York are a million times nicer than the ones we've got here in the cities in the UK for the most part. We definitely have our fair share of poverty in the UK, and it is really, really sad. I am not laughing at anybody in these situations because you've got to be absolutely desperate to go begging on street corners and trains. And I work on the streets myself. I'm a busker. I'm not doing anyone down. It was just very interesting to see the way that it works over there. I have heard before that there is a huge homelessness issue in New York. Is that because in America there isn't a benefit system like there is in other places? Do correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, though. I just don't think that there is benefits. Is there? I feel like before I move on to the next negative thing, I should say some nice things. We went to see the Statue of Liberty. It was really cool. It was flaking off and it was like a mixture of like blue and grey. Okay, this is not very positive. It was nice. It was nice. It was just a lot more deteriorated than I expected, but it's old. That is to be expected. Statue of Liberty was nice, very cool. Going up the Empire State Building was nice, very cool. What else did we go and see? American diners are really, really, really cool. The food, I cannot fault. Like I was saying about Mackey's before, America's food is phenomenal. Oh yeah, Times Square. Times Square is like something out of a dream sequence. That is the one thing that I can confidently say is exactly like it appears in movies. We went at night time and it's just, oh my God, I can't. It is so busy constantly. It is like the hot spot for, I don't know, nightlife of New York. There's businessmen storming Norman Pass with their little briefcases like that. You've got loads of influencers and content creators making stuff and doing flash mobs on them steps. Yeah, all in all, really cool. Would recommend going to Times Square. Right, now I can talk about my next negative thing. It's time to be serious now because I'm going to talk about the 9/11 grounds. I believe that it's called Ground Zero. Let me just Google this. Okay, when I Google it, it says it's known as the World Trade Center site or Ground Zero or the Pile. That's a really sinister name. The Pile. Ooh. I'm just going to call it Ground Zero, right? So we went to visit Ground Zero, which is obviously where the two World Trade Center buildings stood before the horrific 9/11 attacks. So everything I'm about to say is just my personal thoughts and feelings. Obviously, it's a really sensitive topic, and every time I see or watch anything about it, honestly, it makes me cry, just floods. So they've now got like 2 blocks where the buildings stood, and they have the names of the victims inscribed on the side, and they've got 2 like fountains in the middle of these blocks. It should be a place of remembrance, and it is. But my personal feelings when I visited, the first thing I noticed when I approached the area was it's incredibly commercialized. There are people everywhere selling things, people taking loads of pictures and posing. It's almost, it gives those like kind of vibes of, you know, when people like go to Auschwitz and take photos and it's really tone deaf and really disrespectful. That's how I felt. Like I said, it's a really tender topic. On the other hand, some might say that it's great they've kept the area lively and happy to almost celebrate the lives of these people and give the families a nice, happy place to come and remember them. But I don't know, just all the taking pictures and it just felt very touristy. It was a bit of a weird vibe. But then again, it is also a big moment in history, isn't it? So people will want to come and take photographs. I actually saw a video not too long ago. I think Matt showed me a video of a guy who'd climbed into one of the fountains, one of the blocks, and he'd fallen off the ledge and he was quite severely injured, and he was making his way towards, because there's like, you've got the block, right, and then there's like a level and then it drops. I'm looking at a picture of it while we speak. Yeah, okay, so you've got the block and you can like climb into the block, and then once you're in, it's quite a steep drop to get down there, but once you're in, it goes across, and then there's another drop down to like a big black hole. I don't know where it leads, but he'd gone down the first level and injured himself, and he was kind of heading towards the next level, but I think they got him out before he could. I don't know if he was trying to, I don't know whether I'm allowed to say this on here. I don't know whether he was trying to injure himself further, if you catch my drift. This is going really off topic, but I feel like it's a similar kind of thing to when people throw themselves in like zoo enclosures and stuff. That is a really interesting and scary topic that we will probably talk about another day, but yeah. Now, before I finish this video, what other stuff did we do while we were there? We went to see, someone's messaged me. Oh. It's my producer, Elliot. We went to see the Brooklyn Bridge. That was cool. Not much to say about that. It's a bridge. It's a nice bridge. Oh, we went to the big museum where they filmed The Night at the Museum. That was really cool to see all the things that were in the movie. But again, not much to say about it. This is how crap my memory is. It's been so long since this trip. I wish I could remember more. It was also cool to see that yellow school buses are actually a real thing. I thought they were maybe something from the 70s or they just didn't exist. But one of the first things that we saw when we got there was children on a yellow school bus, and I do have a photo of that somewhere. You'll see if I'm able to find the pictures, because I will put them up here. I'm not gonna lie, I've not really got anything else to say about this trip. I've been sat here just staring at the camera for like 10 minutes just going If I think of any other anecdotes, I will let you know in the comments, but for now, I hope this was a somewhat entertaining video. I'm gonna leave because it's getting dark and I need to go to the gym. But if you did enjoy this and you would like to see more, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you turn the bell on as well on the right hand side to turn on all notifications for my videos. What else? Give it a big like, please. Leave a comment if you're feeling super nice. You know, just all the interaction really helps. And if you want to be a super fan and find me on other social media, I will put all of my other socials. What am I doing with my legs? I will put all my other socials in the description down below. I have original music. I'm on like all social media. Just everything you could possibly want to find about me is down there. So I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye guys. See you next time.